Do you want to know what it takes to win first place for an apple pie at the fair? Let me show you. Hey everyone, I'm Jason Mayo, and today I'm going to show you how to make an award-winning apple pie. When I was a kid, I won first place in the fair for the apple pie contest 5 years running. Let me tell you, it's a darn good apple pie, and if you make it at home, you're going to see why. Making pie at home is actually super simple and doesn't take a lot of ingredients. It's usually stuff that you have on hand. And a food processor. So, here's how it's gonna work. We're gonna take half a cup of butter, put her in the food processor. Then we're gonna take a cup of flour, put her right in there. Then, all we need is just a little bit of cold water. So you're gonna add it a little bit at a time, just to make sure that we don't add too much, and we wanna have our pie crust have a specific look, and I'll show you what that looks like. So once you have your flour and your butter in your food processor, you're just going to give it a few pulses. We just wanna break the butter up into the flour. Then, we're gonna add super cold water, 1 tablespoon at a time. We want it to come together and kind of look like pea-sized balls. Perfect. And when it's done, it's gonna look just like this. What we're gonna do is lay it out on a sheet of plastic. I know it's not all come together, so it's not that pie crust you think yet. However, once we got it on the plastic here, we're just gonna form it together in the middle, push it down, put the plastic over it, just like this, squish it together, make a round. You can squish it down with your hand. It brings everything together and doesn't allow too much heat to get in there. We don't wanna work it too much because we don't want that butter to melt just yet. We wanna do that in the oven. So it's gonna be smooth just like this. And then we're gonna let it sit in the refrigerator as a disc like this for about an hour. And by the magic of television, I've already got a double batch here that I made. Pull the saran wrap off. Now this is a double batch, so we're gonna be able to do top and bottom of the pie. A top and bottom crust tonight, which will make lives so much easier. So, once you've got your crust, just like this, it's still cold, straight from the fridge, you want to put out a bit of flour on the top as well. Just give it a pat. And then we want to start working it out with our rolling pin. It'll be a little easier to work out as the dough heats up, but you don't want it to heat up too much because you want that butter to really melt in the oven. Turn it as we go. This is a good workout too. Get your arms going, keep turning it. It'll get into that rounder shape. You want it to be fairly thin. We can also take pieces off. Like notice how it's not quite round, so you can take this piece off here, push it down here, give it a roll out, even it out. Basically what you want is about 1/4 of an inch thin of dough. And notice how it will lay up on the rolling pin, just like this. And see how it's still pliable? And we're gonna take that dough and flip it up on our pin like this to help us move it. And we're gonna take our pan and we're just gonna take our dough and place it over our pan like that. And then just gently push it in. You don't want to put any holes in the dough, so you want to just move it along and push it in like that. You don't want any holes or any kind of unfilled spots where juice can get out. So that's our bottom crust. Then we're going to prepare our filling, and then we'll roll out our top crust. For our filling, what we've done is just chopped up some of these beautiful Goldie apples. Norfolk apples from Cleavers, delicious apples. We've cut up about 7 of those. And what we're gonna do is this. We're just gonna take the apples, splash of lemon juice. Just a little bit. Then we're going to take brown sugar, about half a cup. We're going to crumble it in here, and we're going to give it a mix in a second. And my secret ingredient always when I'm making a pie is about half a teaspoon of black pepper. And that's going to really bring out the flavor of those apples. Then we're going to mix this up, give it a toss. Then we're just going to take about a half a cup of flour. Put it in there. Give that a toss as well. This is going to keep it thick when all those juices come out so that your pie is not going to be runny. You want to really make sure all the apples are coated. Easy to remember, half a cup of sugar, half a cup of flour. And you'll see now they're nice and thick. And we're going to load those into our pie dish, into our bottom crust. You want to keep them really flat if you can and layer them on in. Make sure there's no spaces. Push them down. Now, I love a mile-high pie, so you know it's going to be nice and high. However, you don't have to cram them all in there. You can freeze these too and put them in your next pie if you like. People are going to wonder with that black pepper, like that earthiness, that kind of a little bit of, it's not going to be spicy because the brown sugar is really going to bring it down, but it is going to really kick up the flavor of those apples. And people are going to wonder what that is. They'll wonder if it's cinnamon. And if you love cinnamon, put cinnamon in here. Not too much. Cinnamon can be an overpowering flavor. It is fall, and cinnamon's like probably the spice of fall. Goes well with pumpkin, I hear. But on your apples, with that brown sugar and pepper, you really want the apples to shine through and just have a little cinnamon to get it there, right? What are your favorite memories of the fair? Why don't you drop those down in the comments below? We'd love to hear what they are. Getting pies ready for the fair and all the canning that I used to do and enter in was always one of my favorite times of the year because I would cook with my mom and she would show me how to do all these things. She was a crazy good baker, so she would whip up pie dough in batches of like 16s without even having to remember numbers or any measurements or anything like that. And that to me is like a pure memory of the fair because it's so cool to think that people were able to do that. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. So what we're gonna do right now is trim off the edges of our crust. And we're gonna pinch these together with our top. If you notice that some pieces aren't as full as others, you can take these trimmings and add to them and just push them down and push them in. Pie dough is pretty forgiving, so it'll help you out. So we've got our top crust here. We're just gonna lay this over top, pat it down, cut off the excess as well. There's a lot of fun things you can do with this excess. You can make cinnamon twists, all kinds of cool stuff. So once it's done, you got your two crusts here. We can do the old school pinch. So all you do is put your two fingers like this and boom, pinch it together like that. Some people close it with a fork. This is, I think, a little prettier than that. Makes a really nice edge. They'll know it's homemade. You go all the way around. Helps push it together as well because you're pushing down as you go. And we are going to put a few slits on the top as well, just to make sure that we get some air into there and that the pie's not going to bubble over or split your crust. So we're just going to do 3 slits on the top here. So we're going to put this in a 425 degree oven for 20 minutes and then bring it down to 375 for another 40. Take a look at that. All right, let's take a look. You can hear the nice crisp crust there. Oof. Here we go. Now at the fair, to make sure they check, they look and see, they flip it over to make sure it doesn't have a soggy bottom. I'm gonna make sure I get all the way down here. She's deep. Remember, we piled those apples in there. Here we go. The moment of truth. Looks good. Beautiful. Ready? Ooh, that's a crisp crust right there. That, my friends, is a prize-winning pie. Try it at home. Ooh, I don't have a fork. So good. It's so hot. So, that's how you make a fair winning pie. Simple, easy, with ingredients you have at home, and beautiful Norfolk apples. Give it a try. And we'll see you flavor.